Hello and welcome to the Windup Watch Fair Chicago. My name is Blake Bettner. That's Zach Kazan over there. Hey, Zach.
Hello, how are you?
Real well. We are thrilled to be joined by a couple of our favorite people, Chase Fancher and Nathan Bobinchak of Oak and Oscar. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the Windup Watch Fair in your home city of Chicago. How does that feel?
We love that it's here in Chicago.
Yeah.
Mainly because we love being able to show everyone here, and with Windup and Worn and Wound, that Chicago is a great watch market.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it
is.
really is.
The people, I mean, the discussions that are happening out there, the people that are coming through, that really comes through. And, I think this is long overdue, us doing something like this in the
Yes.
Midwest.
Yeah.
And we've got a few Midwesterners sitting here that have been really excited about this happening. And this is a special year for Oak and Oscar. This is 7 years. You've done something really cool to commemorate this.
Yep.
Tell us about the watch that you did for this show.
Yeah, so for our 7th year, it coincided also with having Nathan on board, being able to do all his little wizardry magic, if you will, on some of the stuff that we get to do, which is great. And we wanted to show everyone things that we could do, things that it's special for a small independent brand like ours, here in the US, here in Chicago specifically, our machining abilities and our abilities to do a lot more than what is average, which is great. And so what we made was the Humboldt 7-year, which is a watch that has here it is if you'd like to see it, which has a bezel made of brass. It's a special kind of brass, right?
Yeah, it's a different kind of alloy because we wanted to match some colors, we wanted to get some good hardness and machinability, but also we wanted to make it safe. So this is a lead-free brass, so that if you put it on your body, you're not in any kind of danger.
Oh, that's very considerate.
Yeah.
It has some environmental qualities as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it does. But so it's a brass bezel that we've machined actually in-house in our shop on an old Derbyshire lathe, which is tremendously fun. Brass chips everywhere, and a dial that we've also hand finished as well, because our dials are all brass, and so we had a really fun process on that same lathe of turning it down to show its core base element, which is really great. Watches pad printed in Chicago. We also did in-house the sandblasting of the rotor for that extra two-tone effect. It's a really fun piece to show that, look, like, we can machine stuff. Like, we can make parts. Like, we've made parts for other watches, but it's no fun to talk about, like, oh, we've made this little thing and that little thing, and this is something we can say, it's in your face, look.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're really proud of. It's really fun.
It turned out beautifully. The colors work just tremendously well with this design in particular. It sounds like they were gone pretty quickly, so a lot of people seem to enjoy this watch.
Yeah, we made tickets for folks so we could avoid having a mass rush to the booth.
Yeah.
And folks were lined up at like 9:15, 9:30, and we went out there with tickets. We handed them out. I didn't get to the end of the line before I got to the end of the tickets, which was great.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone came in at noon, and we had some bourbon, and people picked up new watches.
Yeah. Yeah, the watch turned out really beautifully again, and you have this lathe over at the booth that you are making components live. Tell us about this lathe.
Yeah, so this is a cool thing. I got it when I was in watchmaking school. It used to belong to the U.S. Naval Observatory, and so back before we had radio-controlled clocks, you had to use a marine chronometer to tell the time at sea. That's how you know where your longitude is. And so the Navy would actually maintain their own clocks and watches. It was important for the Navy to work. So they had these cool machines, and it was surplused out in like the 90s, and I found it on Craigslist when I was in school, and it's great. It's this guy was using it to make little boats. He traded the Navy guy to make railings for his model ships, and he decided he didn't need that for that. So it's cool to have the lathe back in, like, doing horologically interesting stuff, and it's also beautifully, like, American made. It's all, I mean, I can talk forever about the lathe. I can nerd out about
really
it.
Can.
Yeah, I was sort of all yesterday.
Really
I was doing that.
Yeah.
It's a nice product. Like, look, my cool toy. And so, but it also is like accurate enough to make watch parts, or even big enough to make case parts like this. So it's fun to be able to do that. A lot of watchmaking, you're not really creating a lot of parts, but as an independent brand, we can do whatever we want. So we can make these parts, we can show these things off and show some skill. And if you see the demonstration, I'll make some smoke, actually, because the parts are pretty hot. And whenever you smell that cutting fluid smoke, you know a watchmaker is happy, because it's like feeding the soul to make chips and make parts. So,
Sure.
Were there any particular challenges with making these parts for this watch that you ran into during the production?
Yeah, so I mean, the tolerances on the bezel are, it's a friction fit to the brass to the steel. The easier way to do it would be to use a gasket so that the gasket would kind of squish and hold it in place. But the tolerance on the internal diameter is 1/100th of a millimeter. That's about the 10th of the thickness of a human hair. And if you talk to most machinists, that's like, they don't do that. But watchmaking, that's sort of a tolerance that you're sort of used to hitting. So cutting that to the right size to make sure that it all presses perfectly together and stays on there. It was important, fun to hit, and then also modifying the dial. So this is one of our modified dials. It's not starting from scratch, but we're turning it down so that it reveals the brass beneath the paint. And one thing that I think is interesting is that if you buy a chrome-plated watch from the 50s or 60s, it'll say base metal bezel, and it's always plated. And but they call brass base metal, and it is the base. It's the base of our hands, of our dials, of our date wheels, of our bridges and wheels. It's the base of so many things that are in watchmaking. It's not usually shown off, but we're trying to show it off because, you know, as a watchmaker for Oak and Oscar, I offer refinishing, and I think only one owner ever has taken me up on it because they want the watches to show their like adventures, their patina on the watches, and so this brass is going to patina. It's going to get the fingerprints and the dings and the scratches and all the things that these owners are going to live with, and it's going to have their literal fingerprint on it. So it's going to be cool.
That's really cool.
We talked about internally, like us putting like a thumbprint on the dial.
A thumbprint,
but then we thought that could actually get us maybe in a little trouble.
So hopefully my thumbprints don't show up. Like I'm really hoping that in like a week, people aren't like, "What's all that? He sneezed on this."
Are you guys in a database or something?
Yeah,
You're worried about?
I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the other challenges that you uniquely had to deal with was me, because like you have the machining and you're blending the world of machinery now with artistry and design, and so together with a lot of the things where it's like, well, yeah, but can you do this? And you're like,
Right.
Let me reset the machine. But I think that was a really nice thing about this is that a lot of Nathan's skill and ideas and craft went into this, and it turned out into something that we're all really proud of.
Yeah, someone asked yesterday, how do you decide on the design? And the answer was playing. I mean, I was just playing around in the shop and trying different things.
What do you think about that? I'm like,
yeah,
that's a fun way. Let's
Nailed
keep
it.
going that.
a big
Absolutely.
tray of dials that were not accepted.
Yeah, he sent me a photo of something similar to this at, I don't know, 9:30, 10 p.m. at night one night. And he's like, hey, this is my latest iteration. And I think my response is like, yep, we're there.
That's the one, yeah.
No. So Nathan has been with the Oak and Oscar for 2 years now. How has that changed the brand in general?
Yeah.
How does it change how you think about where it's going?
It's bringing Nathan into Oak and Oscar has been something that I've wanted to do for years, because we want to do things that are very horologically significant. We want to respect horology. We want to be watchmakers, and we are doing far more than just casing up pieces. We are doing assembly, casing, QC, service, all in-house as well, making certain parts too. And it's one of those scenarios where it's exactly what I wanted to see our brand become.
Yeah.
The whole idea from day one is to do something that is respectful of horology, making parts, making pieces, and showing that we are a pretty serious, small, independent company.
Yeah. I know you like to kind of use your own personal passions for inspiration and draw from.
Yes.
Can we expect to see this manifest in some of the watches? I know we've talked about some quirky complications potentially making their way in.
Yeah, I think it would be really fun. Like we've done some things already, like for example, the Wilson collaboration we did to make a baseball bezel, like the world's first and only watch with a bezel that you can actually track the top and bottom of innings, was tremendously fun. For me, almost part of that collaboration, the most fun part, and I hate to even admit this on camera in front of lots of people, was the custom baseball gloves we got out of it.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay.
I mean, I grew up playing baseball, and so now I've got these ball gloves with Oak and Oscar and Wilson and our navy and orange and a couple little secret things on it that I've got. My dad has one. My boys are going to have one. And like, as a guy who grew up playing baseball, it's one of those things where it's like, whoa.
And here in
That's really
Chicago at
cool. And you know, going to the Wrigley and Cubs and where we got to shoot some of the photos. But to going back to your question, I think that's one of the fun things that we get to do is we get to play around with more complications, more making some parts and things ourselves. You guys joked about making a fly fishing watch, and it's not a joke. It's in my mind churning. Like, what can we do? Like, how do we track that? Like, I made a joke if we could have a bezel and it could track like the number of fish I catch, but I think like a 1 and a 2 notch bezel isn't very intriguing.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's something where it could be really fun avenue to explore. And
Yeah.
we get to do that now because not only whether it's we're making parts, but also Nathan has the technological chops to be able to talk about the technical design and how things are going to work properly with our technical designers out in Switzerland,
Yeah.
which is great. For example, one of the things that we like to talk about on our Humboldt GNT, it was actually on our Humboldt 12 hours as well, is a lot of bezel inserts are held down by double-sided sticky tape or
Yeah.
glue. And that to me feels so wrong on a lot of different levels. But what's great is with Nathan on board, and we have the knowledge and the skill to say, nope, we're gonna do pressure fit. We're gonna do it the right way. It's the harder way, but it's the right way.
Yeah.
Because it's a more serviceable watch, and it's a watch that is made with respect to actual true watchmaking.
Yeah. And I know a lot of these small details are what have always set you apart from how you shape the numbers on the dial. There's a lot of your personality, I know, that goes into this kind of stuff that someone that might just walk into a store, see your watch, might not really think about, but they're there to discover.
Yeah, but that's what's great about design is there can be tons of small little details that you don't notice until you looked at it for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And people still notice design details that they didn't notice maybe the first year or two of ownership. And they'll shoot me an email like, whoa, I never realized. And
The counterweight of the second hand.
yeah, all of that. There's like that depth of design and intrigue in there that maybe like our Olmsted 38, which is a field watch, simple field watch, but there's so many little things about it that it can get deep, man.
Yeah, I love it. No, it's been great to see you guys grow over the last 7 years, and I really love what you're doing there. And thank you again for being a part of the show.
Of course.
With that, we'd maybe open it up to if anybody has any questions for Chase, or if there's any on Instagram. Otherwise, dude, keep doing you. And to another 7 years, I can't wait to see what's in store.
I appreciate
Any
it.
hints that you can give us?
No.
Other than the fly fishing bezel, of course.
No, we've got some fun things as always coming out. It's without saying too much, it's really important to me to keep working with our brand identity and what we've already established, but adding in some newer complications with some more machining, doing things that kind of harken to the past, bringing don't read into this, things like more chronographs and GMTs and other things that we can do to continuously round out our collection.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm really excited about that. And Nathan, it's awesome to see you doing awesome work at Oak and Oscar and back in Chicago, back in the Midwest. So, Cubs or White Sox?
Cubs.
Tigers?
Oh, okay. Detroit Tigers. All right, that took a left turn. I'll round us out with the Brewers there. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you again for being here and spending some time with us. It's always a treat to chat with you.
Absolutely.
Chase.
Thank
all
you.
right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, take care.